Cayla DeRegis, Senior Director of Social and Community at Away. Welcome to Marketing Girly.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. This is my first episode I'm recording in New York, so
Oh my God.
you are my first guest here.
Inaugural New York City episode. I love that for me.
Yes, and we're recording, we're just talking about this, but that the next just one. So a crazy time to be in New York.
Yes.
Yes.
It'll be exciting.
Yes.
Lots of energy in the city right now.
Yes, I hope so. And I'm excited to chat with you today about your career journey and how you ended up here at Away. If you want to start by just telling me a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, my name's Cayla. I am the Senior Director of Social and Community at Away. I work on organic social. I work in community management and with creators and influencers. My background is really with media brands, like with BuzzFeed, and what I was doing at the NBA was more media focused. And then I had like a brief stint at an ad agency where I got a lot of experience on the brand side. But this is my first role with a brand, a consumer product, and I'm loving it so far.
Exciting. Okay, so I know this is like the hardest question to answer, but can you give me a week in the life in your current role, or just kind of a day or week in the life?
I know, it's like I do so many things. I would say, we kind of start the week with a brand team touch base. So social sits under the brand team. We go over the priorities for the week and sometimes the month, like what launches we have coming up, new campaigns, etc., and just how we plan on covering that on social, any community events we want to do, and then an update on our different creator and influencer partnerships. And then a lot of my week is really spent in production. I'm still on the ground with the videographer, with people on my team making the actual content. And that's always the most fun part to me. Other things I do in the week, I review creator content, review creator briefs, have brainstorms with the team for fun things we want to do on social, or different community events that we want to do. That's always my favorite part, to just have like a 1 hour brainstorm. Let's go wild. Like, what could we do if we had all the money in the world?
And then scale it back.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And yeah, I think
that's a good summary.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, take me back to the production piece of you, so that you're still very much in the weeds of shooting the content. Can you maybe walk me through a recent campaign that you've done that you really had fun with?
Yes. One of the ones that we just did that was really fun and successful was for our new product called Topside. And it is a new product that Away has done. It's kind of like the most innovative product they've had probably since the inception of the company. We do a lot of different colorways, but this was the first time where we really changed the look and how the bag works. And so I really wanted to highlight that a lot of time and effort went into designing this bag. And so we did kind of a behind-the-scenes design storytelling series with the VP of design. So we did a deep dive into researching what went into the design process. It took over a year, almost a year and a half, to design the new bag. And I just needed to know, like, how did it take so long? There's so many little details that we wouldn't think about. And so I really wanted to highlight that. We scripted, 4 videos, I want to say, like over the course of 2 days, which was a lot. And we worked with a DP who helped us make the shots look really beautiful and intentional, just like the bag. And then launched it onto socials. I think the first video got over like 2.5 million views across different platforms. And then the bag sold out so quickly, like 300% over what we were planning. And so now we're out of stock.
Incredible.
I know. It was
exciting.
It was so fun to work on. And it's always nice when something that you work really hard on has the results that you want it
Yeah,
to.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And when working on, because are you primarily working on organic social?
Hmm.
So it can be really frustrating, especially for people listening that are working on brand social teams, that sometimes your content doesn't always have the reach that you want it to have,
I
especially
know.
organically. So I can imagine how exciting it must have been to see that do really well. But what have you learned throughout the process on organic social of stuff that you find works well as a brand? Because creating content that works well as a brand is sometimes different than what it is as a creator.
Yes, absolutely. So that's what my background being really with media, I think, is a strength and also a weakness, because it's a strength because you know, a lot of my background was just creating entertaining content to grow audience and to reach people, not to specifically sell a product. But I can take what I've learned through the years of doing that and apply it to a brand and try to sell their product or do some brand storytelling in a way that's really entertaining. Because I think where a lot of people trip up when it comes to brand social is they treat it like an advertising platform, but social media is a storytelling platform. So
Mhm.
h- making that switch in your mind to create entertaining content instead of just sell, 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 it's difficult because a lot of leadership maybe doesn't see the value in just doing an entertaining piece of content where it's like, but why aren't we selling the product in this, you know? Um, but I think with that example that I just spoke about specifically, the scripting the videos over 2 days, we were really, really intentional about the hook and the storytelling around the bag so that it actually would be entertaining and valuable to a person that watches it. A question that I'm always asking myself is, if I didn't work here, would I care about this piece of content? And if the answer is no, then it doesn't go live.
That's such a good question to ask yourself, because we can also get caught up in your own like energy or your own team or your own head, right? Like where you are looking at away bags
Yeah.
all day, all
Yeah, yeah,
week.
yeah. It becomes like, of course I care about this. Like,
Yeah.
it's a part of my daily life. But then
Yeah.
to step back and be like, if I didn't work here, would I want to watch this? Sometimes
Yeah.
the answer is no. And you have to be like really brutally honest with yourself sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's a great gut check question to ask. And I also love what you said about how social media is a storytelling platform. I think that's also such a good mindset shift to have, especially as a brand. And yeah, the leadership, of course, they're looking at the sheets and the P&Ls, and they want
Yep.
to see ROI and they want to sell. But I think with social media, it's kind of saying, well, you're selling, but you're doing it indirectly. And you're doing it in a different way.
Right, exactly. And I think the argument that you can make is by creating entertaining content that makes the brand culturally relevant, you'll have better downstream effects that'll affect your customer acquisition costs because your brand will come up more naturally when the
Mm-hmm.
category comes up.
Mm-hmm.
But that takes time to build. It's not just like a one-off viral post. It's like your brand is consistently showing up in a way that people find to be entertaining and culturally relevant.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, I want to come back to it because I also want to talk about what you're doing on the creator side. But let's take a moment to step back because you mentioned that you have this previous experience within media. Did you know that you always wanted to work in social media? Is this where you saw yourself ending up?
Absolutely not. I went to school for
Oh
engineering.
my gosh.
I went to school for civil engineering, and I was a civil engineer for 2 years before I got into social media. And my career went all over the place. I I found engineering to be boring. I thought it was gonna be a lot more creative than
How long did it take you to find for it to be boring if you studied it and did it for 2 years?
I know, it was like 6 months maybe. But I think that was just because I was junior, and when you're junior, you kind of get, like, all the tasks that nobody else wants to do when it comes to engineering. Um, and so I left engineering without a plan, really, and I was very lucky to be able to do that. I was in a yoga teacher training. I started teaching yoga and walking dogs and just kind of, like, living that way, and
Wait, let's
then
pause there for a
okay,
second
okay.
because I think there's a lot of people that are in jobs or careers that they might not feel super passionate about. And I think doing what you did and just quitting the job and being like, I'm okay just doing yoga and walking dogs, like, because you obviously went and got went to a lot of school, you
Yeah.
did all the stuff to go in this career, so to just leave that behind, was that a hard choice? Was that scary? Like, how did you decide to do that confidently?
I was definitely terrified because of the money portion of
Yeah.
it. But basically, in that 6 months that I decided that this was boring and I didn't really see my life being an engineer, I was just squirreling away so much money. I was trying to save so that I knew when I had
Mm,
like enough, I could quit and kind of live off of what I'd saved with like side gig jobs here and there. But I definitely was terrified that I wasn't making the right decision because I didn't know what I wanted to do yet. I still needed time to figure out, my path.
mhm.
And, I wanted to stay in New York, obviously, but I knew I had the safety net that if I ever needed to move home, I would be welcomed with open arms.
A little too welcomed?
Yeah, exactly. My mother would be ecstatic. So I knew I always had that, which I'm very lucky and privileged to be able to say that I could, I had a backup plan.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think it's terrifying, but it's kind of more terrifying to spend 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week or more doing something you really don't enjoy
Mhm.
and having to do that for the rest of your life. Oh, it's depressing.
But I think that's not everybody will come to terms with that because it's safer to stay at your job.
Yeah,
It's
for sure.
safer to keep getting the paycheck, and you probably have a very clear career trajectory in that field, and,
Yeah.
your life is, like, a little bit more planned out
Mhm.
for you versus taking that risk and doing that exploration and pausing, and then also we'll get into this next, but maybe having to start from 0 from an entirely new industry.
Yeah, 1000%. I think, I had a lot of friends at the time who were also just joining the workforce for the first time. We all graduated college and figuring out what we wanted to do. And I had some friends also follow footsteps of being like, okay, if she can do it, like, I'm going to quit my job
Oh
too.
my gosh, that's so cute. So you were inspiring your
I
friends.
know. I love
I
it.
love it. Okay, so talk to me about, like, what happened next? How did you take your next move in your career?
Yeah. So I started teaching yoga and just walking dogs, just trying to make money where I could. And I took a gig at this yoga studio in Brooklyn called Heatwise. And they have multiple locations now, but when I started, it was only one. And I became the operations manager there. And so I was like running the studio. And then COVID happened. And obviously, we had to shut the studios down. And my job was to basically like operate the studio. And she was like, well, you're young, so you can just like run our social media because she didn't wanna let me go. We all thought it was gonna be, like, a 2-week thing.
Yes.
So she's like, "Why don't you just run our social media until we're able to open back up?" And that is how I got into social
No
media. Yeah.
way. So just by accident.
Yes. And so I tried to, like, learn everything that I could so that I could do a good job. I'd never worked in social media before. I'd worked on my own Instagram and tried to learn everything I could. I took on a couple freelance gigs after that because I was just hungry for knowledge. I wanted to figure out how to make social work. Um, and yeah, that's what kickstarted my journey in social.
How incredible.
Yeah.
And so you are starting to do so you're learning everything as you're going. How did the socials do for the time that you were there?
I think they were fine. It wasn't anything groundbreaking. I don't think I really got, you know, a handle on different social media strategies until I got to BuzzFeed. And I am so grateful for my time at BuzzFeed. They allowed me to learn and grow so much. Um,
So
but
talk to me about that. So how did you end up from doing social at your yoga studio to BuzzFeed?
so crazy. Like, I just applied and I got an interview. I felt like it was like it's really hard, I think, when you're applying to jobs, especially in this job market. Applying to something and getting an interview feels so, like it's not always going to happen. It feels difficult. Um,
Were you nervous about your resume because you had a whole education and background that wasn't in marketing. You just had only one social media gig. Like, how did you structure your resume, and how did you feel about
I
that?
think that's actually what got me hired is that I had an engineering background and I was very, like, data driven and organized, and I had a lot of, like, different time management and different skills that could add to a typical social media job that maybe, sets me apart from other candidates.
Incredible. I loved hearing that because I think a lot of times people are a bit insecure to apply to positions when they don't have a traditional marketing background. And there's some pressure to be like, oh, I have to have studied marketing in school, or I have to have done XYZ before I can even be considered for an interview. So I love that you shared that that was your strength, and what kind of caught their attention was that you
Yeah.
didn't have a normal background.
Yeah, and I think another thing is that you could tell from my resume that I was really hungry and wanted to work hard because I had the role at the yoga studio and I was taking on freelance social media gigs. Like anything that I could get, I was just taking because I really wanted to learn and try different things and different strategies on these different accounts. And so that mixed with the engineering background, I think they were like, she's going to work hard. So let's hire
Yeah.
her.
And I always give this advice too early on in your career. Your greatest asset is your willingness to learn
Yeah.
and your willingness to work hard.
Yeah.
Like, that is what companies want to see, that you are eager to learn because they're going to invest in training you, and then also that you're going to be a hard worker
Yeah.
and that you're going to go above and beyond. And so, yeah, if you're taking on side gigs, if you are building this career for yourself, then that also shows them like, I'm a hard worker and I really, really want to be in this space.
Yeah, exactly. Now, as a people manager, I definitely look for passion for the industry and like whatever content we're making. That is so important to me because if you have passion, you're going to work harder and really be part of the team. Like, I deeply care about the content that we make and the things that we put out into the world. And so I'm looking for people that also have that.
Yeah. So tell me about your time at BuzzFeed. What were kind of the biggest things you learned in your time there?
So it was also great timing because it was kind of they started taking TikTok a little bit more seriously, and I was one of the first hires that was specifically only working on TikTok,
Mm.
and so I got a lot of hands-on experience with the platform, which also I think became another strength because then every platform tried to copy TikTok, and so I had kind of like the secret sauce for short form video.
What was the secret sauce?
I mean, I got to play around a lot. I was working across like all the different sub brands that BuzzFeed had, and I got to work with amazing I don't know the word I'm looking for. Like building blocks because the long form producers were making these awesome videos, and then I would figure out different hooks, how to cut it up so
Mm.
that we could publish and it could get the most reach and try to drive back to the YouTube videos. And so I had those great building blocks of these amazing producers who are thinking about story in a way that I haven't really seen elsewhere. BuzzFeed creates awesome producers, like for sure. Being at other companies now, I was like, wow, they really teach their producers a lot about storytelling
Mhm.
and how important that is and how to hook people and also retain them.
Mhm.
Um, And so, yeah, I got to play around a lot. There was basically like no oversight. They were just like, yeah, just like cut stuff up and put it up there and experiment, do whatever. And then eventually they wanted original content. So I started producing my own. This was still COVID. So uh, I was in my home, like making cooking videos for
Oh my
Tasty.
goodness, no way.
Yeah. My wife is a chef for yoga retreats, so she would help me a lot, like make recipes
Oh
so that
my
I could post on the
gosh.
Tasty
Did
TikTok.
you think that that would be you doing, like, cooking recipes for
Absolutely
BuzzFeed?
not. I was like, how did I get here? um, and so, yeah, there was a lot of room for experimentation and learning.
Mhm.
I really grew there. I became the supervising producer for TikTok, where I was basically acting like a consultant for the other brands or like the sub brands, like BuzzFeed Celeb, Tasty, Bring Me, Goodful, all those. And then I had a team under me, and our role was to create new TikTok accounts and new IP for BuzzFeed based off of what we were seeing do really well on BuzzFeed.com. So, like, we had a really strong finance vertical on BuzzFeed.com, but we didn't have a video equivalent. So then we created a TikTok account that could be a video equivalent to what we saw was really popular on BuzzFeed.com, so they can package it up and sell it.
Mhm. What do you think is the biggest thing you learned about what makes a I know there's no secret sauce to viral TikToks, but, like, what did you learn about making videos that performed well on the platform?
Just experimenting with hooks. Like,
Mm,
I think the biggest thing we underthink as social media managers or producers is the first 3 seconds. You should be overthinking that and over designing it to really hook people in, because if they swipe, I mean, you're gone. Um, so that is definitely the most important thing. I spend a lot of time designing hooks to try to, what do I think will grab people? And as I was saying with that example before, like, that's why it took so long to script out those 4 videos, because I was just rewriting the script or the hook probably like over
oh my
20
gosh.
times.
What are you thinking in your head when you're rewriting it?
I think again, I'm thinking, would this grab me? You know?
Mhm.
I think for that video that we just did that really, that got over 2 million views or whatever, I was speaking to a specific type of person, and showing evidence of effort behind our design, showing that we worked really hard on something and this is why you should care. Trying to get all that into one line is very difficult.
Mhm. Do you use AI to help you?
I don't. Super
Okay.
anti AI.
Okay.
I don't use it in my creative process. Um, just because I've just seen studies on how it can affect your brain, and I this is this is the money maker. I just want to, protect my
Yeah.
creative thoughts and process as much as possible.
Yeah.
Um,
I think especially for what you're doing specifically, which is being creative and coming up with original hooks,
yeah,
AI is the aggregation of everything that's out there.
exactly. So it can't really come up with anything unique or human because it's
Mhm.
not. And so being really connected to the human side is really important for me in my creative process and in the making of things, because I think AI also is very the word I'm looking for, like, just agreeable. It'll always tell you your idea
Yes,
is great
yes.
and it's this hook is perfect, whatever. That's not what I need. If we're going to use AI, I need them to tell me that it's not good enough.
Need IA to be meaner.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Okay. Super, super interesting. So, okay, my last question on this is myth or fact? Do you think that account settings for TikToks, like having a business TikTok versus a creator TikTok, by default makes it harder for your content to perform better?
I think that's a myth.
Okay.
I think you can make anything go viral. You just have to figure out how to make people pay attention. And that is through unique, weird ideas that you'd be excited to make. One thing that I discuss with my team a lot is, if you're not excited to make this piece of content, then let's not make it. Uh, Because joy is a requirement for me in making something, because joyless work doesn't really resonate. If it's not
Mhm.
going to resonate with you while making it, how can you expect the audience to resonate with it?
Yeah, I love that. That's really beautiful. Yeah, it has to excite you.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. You have to have joy in creating it if someone's gonna have joy in consuming it.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
love that.
Oh. Okay, so talk to me about what happens after BuzzFeed.
After BuzzFeed, I went to Mischief, which is an ad agency. Some of the most creative, smartest people I've ever worked with. I learned a lot from them, specifically around brand social, because again, I'd only worked in media before, so it was a very different kind of environment. Um, but it was really cool because I got to work on across different brands and that have different needs, that are selling different things with different tones of voice. So I really got to, like, practice switching tones of voice and coming up with different types of ideas for a brand that's maybe, a little bit riskier and likes to be weirder versus one that's like pretty conservative and very product forward, but how can I tell entertaining stories around what they want to do? So, yeah, I learned so much there. I had a blast.
Okay. I feel like I hear this a lot, but do you think that having the ad agency experience was really beneficial for your career now working on the brand side?
1000%. I don't think I would be prepared to work on the brand side without the ad agency experience.
Okay, so then you recommend for somebody in their career, if they can get experience in an agency, important.
I would, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so you do the agency, you work there for a bit, and then you go over to the MBA, is that correct? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, talk to me about that.
It was just a great opportunity. I had a connect there. Someone I actually previously worked with at BuzzFeed brought me over, and I was really excited to work with the people there. Basically, we were working on the relaunch of the NBA 2K League and creating more of an entertainment media company for the NBA, and really focused on the players and trying to make more of the players like more household names. There are obviously a lot of NBA players that are household names, and there are some that are not so much so. So we were focused on how can we tell stories around these players that, you know, brings more light to them, and you get to see more off the court human side of them rather than just like their basketball performance.
How is it working in sports? Because is this your first time touching like the sports industry, or?
Yeah, and I am a WNBA fan. I wasn't really an NBA fan. I wasn't a Knicks fan until 8 days ago when I hopped on the bandwagon.
None of us were.
But I was a huge Liberty fan, and so I was really excited to work with the WNBA.
Mhm.
But yeah, I was like, didn't really care about sports, but I think that was also a strength for me because I could look at content and formats very objectively because I wasn't excited just by this person being in it. It also had to be a good format that was entertaining. Whereas I had a team of people that also that were knew a lot more about sports, and I definitely needed them. I relied on them so much. But as the leader, I could look at a piece of content and be like, well, I don't know who this guy is and I don't care about him. So this is not actually an entertaining piece of content if I don't think it's entertaining because we
Mhm.
need it. We need this piece of content to be broadly entertaining enough that it can break out of our followers and get more reach.
Do you feel like your non-traditional backgrounds in each of these experiences just kind of ended up being your superpower?
1000%. And I've kind of moved around a lot in my career, as you can see, starting from engineering to
Yeah.
where I got now. And I think just soaking up as much as possible, learning as much as possible from the people in the room and taking that to the next thing, that is definitely a superpower for me. And it's something that I would encourage other people to do. You'll never get promoted or get more money or learn as fast as taking everything that you have and going somewhere else and experiencing a new thing, new opportunities for you to learn and have more leadership
Yeah.
opportunities.
How do you have confidence though going, "Okay, I'm working for the NBA. They want me to edit these videos. They might know so much more about sports, and I'm gonna come in and tell them that, I don't think that's a great video because I don't think it's broadly entertaining." Do you have, like, imposter syndrome when you're doing that, or do you just kind of have the practice now that that comes naturally to you?
I mean, I definitely deal with imposter syndrome a lot, but not when it really comes to creative. I think I'm really strong creatively and with storytelling specifically because of my experience at BuzzFeed. The people that I got to learn from there and how they make stories, it was a great learning experience focusing on the storytelling aspect for social media that I don't think a lot of other people have. So that really helped me be able to know when a story feels exciting and entertaining. I think I have a good gauge for that,
Okay.
but imposter syndrome, it gets all of us.
Yes. Okay, but you've got confidence in your craft. You have confidence in your skill set and, like, what your strengths are, and
I have confidence in what I
yeah.
think is good versus not.
Okay. And your taste.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But that's such a specific thing because taste isn't something that you necessarily can study or learn.
Yeah.
That's something you just kind of have to build from experience and from your gut.
Yeah, for sure. I think, you can learn storytelling and you can learn how to create better stories. And I've worked with producers and I've seen their taste level rise over time because I say, like, your bar has to be higher than everybody else's. With the amount of noise and content that's going out on social, we're all competing for attention. So your bar needs to be higher than everyone else's. Joy is a requirement. It's all of these things add up so that you're developing your own taste level as a producer and someone who works in social. And it's been awesome to see, these junior to maybe mid-level producers just level up their taste
Yeah.
and start making content that they really like and believe in. And also as a leader, if I say this isn't good enough, I if you fight back as, the person that made it, I'm like, "Okay, let's post it." That's all I need. I need you to have conviction in your work, and I'm down.
Mhm. Do you feel like you get fulfillment from managing and mentoring?
Absolutely. I think it's, like, my favorite part of the job
Yeah.
now. Definitely the creative ideation, I love that, but, I mean, working with the most amazing people that I have over the past, I don't even know how many years, and seeing them level up, it creates a lot of joy for me.
Yeah, I can see that when you're talking about it. So, you spent the time at the NBA and then you make your way over to away, so talk to me about
Yeah,
that.
that's where I'm at now. Um, Really exciting opportunity, I think, to get my hands in more things, and take on community management in a new way and do some community events, and then also build out a more robust, like, creator and influencer strategy, which I worked on, at Mischief, but when you're on the agency side, there's only so much about the brand and the brand's priorities. Getting in and understanding the brand on the brand side just opens up the world for more opportunities to create content in really cool ways, um, because you understand the brand so much more deeply than you would on the agency side.
And how is it? Because you mentioned in the past working in media, now you're getting to work with, like, an actual physical product that's sold to consumers. Is that How has that been creating content and working on that side?
I mean, I still think it's a great strength of mine that I have the media background because I am so focused on creating content that's entertaining to audiences and not using the social platforms to sell something. Um, and so it's about, like, it is a challenge, which I love being challenged and having new challenges to figure out what are those formats that you know, hit both sides of the coin where it's entertaining, it's watchable, it's shareable, and it features our product or it features some aspect of our brand storytelling in a way that's going to make people want to associate themselves with this brand or buy the product.
And what are some trends that you're noticing right now in social? Anything that you're excited about? Anything that you're scared about?
I don't really like pay attention to trends on social.
Really?
I'm always about just creating, like, something unique and ownable for the brand.
Mhm.
I wanna create stuff that only Away could do, um, or whatever brand,
Yeah.
only our brand could do this because it speaks directly to, our brand values or something that only we can do. So I'm not, like, a big scroller. I don't spend a lot of time on social media, crazily enough.
That is so interesting, but I also feel like hearing your story and what your strengths are really suits you.
Yeah. Again, I really trust my creative and my taste system, and I don't wanna be diluted by, like, other things that I'm seeing out in the world. Of course, I see things that I really like and they're inspiring to me, but I mean, my screen time is really not that high.
You are, like, probably one of the only social media managers that can say this.
I know. Well, I suggest, for everyone who works in social, like, spend time off of your phone. There's different ways to be inspired. Like, I mean, to be inspired, I'll, like, go to a museum. I go to, like, um, improv shows, comedy shows, storytelling shows. I just go outside and go on a walk with a notebook and just like write down ideas. I think spending too much time on social when you work on social can be really just detrimental for your mental health and your creativity. I always encourage like my team to go out and find things in the city and actually like exist, because that can inspire something that probably doesn't exist on social media yet.
Yeah.
If you're inspired by things that only already exist on social media, you're just kind of like remaking the same ideas, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's such great advice and such a refreshing perspective to hear. But I think it kind of goes down to like a great story is a great story. And I feel like throughout generations, like that's like storytelling is,
Storytelling is storytelling. Like,
yeah,
that's what we come to social platforms for stories, to be entertained, you know? So I think reframing your mindset when it comes to creating things for social media, everything is storytelling. And even
yeah,
when we go and we, pull data and analytics for our channel performance, that's still storytelling, right? We're using the data to tell a story. So social media is all about storytelling, working in this industry. And I would suggest that people that work in social take a storytelling class.
Where can they take a storytelling class?
I mean, there's so many in New York. The Moth is a great one. And they also have a book. So if you can't like afford to take a class or anything, um, they have a book. I think it's just called How to Tell Stories. That's really amazing.
Mm.
Um, and I read that, and it's more about, developing your storytelling skills for your personal life, like how to be a good dinner guest.
Oh,
um, but I found like the principles in there to be really useful in creating content as well.
okay. So, anything else that you can get somebody listening who's like, okay, I feel super inspired to learn storytelling to get better at it. What is something that they can do to hone that skill, or are there any tips that you have for them?
Definitely, bringing the focus more to your storytelling skills. Another great creator that I love that I learned a lot from is Christopher Claflin. I believe he has a storytelling course online as well. He's really great about designing hooks, and designing a social strategy that feels really unique and ownable. It's more like for small businesses, but a lot of those principles, again, can be applied to the stuff that you make for a larger brand, or even, if you're trying to become a creator yourself.
Yeah. And I also kind of love this storytelling angle because a lot I've talked about on this podcast too is the fact that AI is here, it's coming, it's going to change industries, it's going to change jobs, but it can't replace storytelling.
Yeah, 1000%. It cannot
Yeah.
replace like the humanity, the
No.
creativity, and the storytelling skills that we all have. It's just like learning how to hone those within yourself, and tell the kind of stories that you want to tell. Again, like it all comes back to joy and being excited about the work that you're making.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the creator side of your position. Like we talked a lot about the content, the storytelling.
Mhm.
So what does that look like?
So we work with an agency on our side, and brief in according to the different product launches that we have and brand priorities that we have. And for me, I really like to focus on creator partnerships that, of course, feel authentic to the brand, that they have real affinity for our brand, um, but do things in interesting ways. So of course we have like travel and lifestyle creators that we partner with. Um, that's kind of like the bread and butter. They do a lot of more product focused collaborations, but how can we push the envelope and partner with creators that maybe you wouldn't expect? One of the things that Away did, this was a long time ago, not while I was there, but they collabed with Sylvanian Drama, which is like those little dolls. Um, it's so strange. It's like a doll acting out like different scenarios with these little dolls in a dollhouse. And
Okay.
we made it a mini Away suitcase, and they like did a whole skit with the Away suitcase, and it
Oh.
went super viral. I remember reading about it, just working in the industry. I think I saw it on LinkedIn, and I was like, that is a good creator collaboration, because it pushes you out of the travel and lifestyle creators and um, makes something that's like mega viral and more relevant in like pop culture.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. So your side of it is kind of figuring out how to work with creators to also create organic content.
Yeah, 1000%. I think we're still pushing the envelope on that a little bit, like
Mhm.
moving outside of travel and lifestyle creators and figuring out which creators we can work with that do have a deep love and affinity for the brand and can do some like weird and interesting stuff.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah.
I love it too. I also love how you said weird a couple times. And I think that's so such a good word I think to use in a world where everybody wants to be trendy.
Yeah, 1000%. I think going out of the box
Yeah.
is how you're going to stand out because there's so much content out there.
Yeah.
So I love getting a little bit weird with it.
Yeah. And kind of looking back, I know we kind of walked through your career journey and looking back at Cayla in civil engineering, like how do you feel now of how far your career has gone and where you've been able to niche down in?
I don't think about this often, but when I do, like, I look back and I'm really proud of myself for making the jump,
Yeah.
and not knowing what was gonna happen and feeling, like, really insecure about not knowing my career path and what I wanted to do, um, to where I am now where, I'm, like, the senior director at this amazing brand that has so many people love this brand, myself included. I bought, like, an Away suitcase, like, 7 years ago, so it was super exciting to get to work for a brand that I have true love for. Um, yeah, I I'm just proud of myself.
Yeah, you rightfully so, because that is so, so, so scary, and, especially too when you're starting your life and, yeah, you wanna make money and you wanna live in the city and you want a job that you love, and I think sometimes we're kind of taught it's like you can either make money or you can have passion, like, you can, have one or the other, but you can't have both, and I think it's amazing to see that you've been able to, like, pursue a career that is fulfilling for you, but, um I'm sure fulfills a lot of other aspects of your life as well.
1000%. I feel so lucky. And I think social media slash marketing is a really great career path for people that like want to make things. Some of the things that we make that haven't been released yet are like kind of like short films. And I'm
Mhm.
really excited about them. And I get paid to like make things that I really like.
Yeah.
It's it's so lucky. And, there are obviously parts of the job that are not so glamorous, but at the end of the day, like you get paid to make things and share it with the world. That freaking rocks.
Yeah, it does. And how about for somebody who's they're not in marketing right now, listen to this podcast, they're not in marketing, they wanna be working in marketing, and the idea of quitting their job probably sounds like the scariest thing ever. What would you say to them?
I would start with freelance gigs, trying to get things on the side and learn as much as you can. Um, and also know that you have skills from from whatever industry that you're in that are totally transferable to a career in marketing. There are so many things that I had to do in my engineering job that I still have to do now, like building professional relationships, networking, spreadsheets. Spreadsheets never go
Oh,
away.
no. Don't tell us that.
So, you know, it's about figuring out how you can sell yourself and those skills that you have to be transferable to a role in marketing that maybe you'd be more excited about. And then I think taking on those freelance gigs to show that you have actual experience in the things that are a little bit more concrete that they need, like maybe video production or, content creation. Even just starting your own account. Like I have my own TikTok account with my wife that has over 100K followers.
Oh my goodness. What do you
And
guys make content about?
it was really silly. We made really weird stuff. um, Everyone go check it out. No, I haven't posted there in a really long time because I'm just like way more focused on my job now. And it kind of took off when I was at BuzzFeed, but I made this one video where I pretended to take her nose while we were at a party, like a July 4th party, and it went crazy viral. And then I did that 100 times
Stop.
and we kept growing followers. And then I just started sharing more about our relationship and our life together.
Oh.
But yeah, once you find the thing that goes viral on TikTok, I would say do that over and over and over again but know that the audience is going to get bored of that. So be ready with your
Yeah.
next format that helps you world build around that format that everyone really liked.
Okay, that's all amazing advice.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna top it off with use AI less because I see it a lot with especially I've had we have an accelerator at Sky Society and I've talked to girls that are like, I've never even written without AI before. I'm just so used to like in college, like using AI as a
Mm.
crutch. And it's really clear that you've developed a skill set that like you mentioned, you had to rewrite that hook 20 times, like, that took a lot of time and effort, but that's something that I think is just gonna be such an important skill set and even more so in the next
I
couple
think it's a
years.
great way to set yourself apart if you
Yeah.
don't use AI in your creative process. And if you're having trouble writing without I mean, writing class would be awesome, but also like lean on your peers. Say like doesn't sounding right to me. Can you help me like workshop this line or, whatever I'm writing? There's ways for you to, slowly wean yourself off of instead of going to AI to be like, help me rewrite this. See if you can bring in one of your peers
Yeah.
or your friends to be like, can you help me with this? So you can slowly become more human, bring the humanity back into your writing.
Yeah.
You can always tell when someone's used AI to write something.
Yeah, sadly, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Amazing. Well, Kayla, any last advice you wanna share with the marketing girlies?
I mean, I already said this, but just focus on, what brings you joy and making things that you want to make, and the audience will follow.
Love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on Marketing
Thank you
Girly.
for having me.